Welcome back to the Cash Tactics Pay-Per-Click case study. Today we'll be covering part 2, which will include keyword research and an overview of campaign structure. A couple of things that I'd like to mention before we get any further in the case study is that each technique and strategy that I'm sharing with you in these videos, it's not the only way to do this. There's a lot of different approaches that you can take, and a lot of marketers have their own approach that they've developed through just experience. The best way to learn really is just to get in there, build campaigns, spend a little bit of money, get your hands dirty and familiar with each of these tools, and that's going to be the best way to really excel your business and to make something profitable. As you learn more and more each day, you'll learn from your mistakes, you'll learn from your successes, and overall you'll be able to develop a strategy that simply works for you. I'd also like to set the expectation. I probably should have done this in part 1. The main focus on this case study is not to get a campaign profitable, even though it's very likely. But with $100, sometimes it's a little bit challenging to get a campaign profitable, especially when you're targeting a niche as competitive as the acai berry right now. But what I like to present in this case study is that by the time it's over with, you'll be able to understand the process you need to go through to test a niche out with $100 and maybe a little bit more than $100, and that way you know if it's worth your time to continue pursuing and to develop out further. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the keyword research side of things. A lot of people make big mistakes when they're doing their keyword research. There's a lot of different tools out there. So much so that can be confusing as to which one might work, which one's good, which one's not good. Well, there's a lot of these tools are very, very good. It just depends on the way you're looking to use them. One of my favorite, and you've probably seen all across the internet, is one of the best tools, is actually the tool given and provided by Google themselves. It's an excellent tool. It gives you actual search queries that have been used in their search engines. They've recently updated to where it gives you estimated search volume. Like I showed you in part 1, you can see the competition level just to see how competitive one keyword is. You can also get an estimation of your cost per clicks, and I'll go a little bit further into that in just a moment. So we're going to be pursuing the acai berry niche. I've had some excellent feedback as far as how it's performing right now among some of the different networks, so it's definitely a great niche to get into. Let's go ahead and type in acai berry, and we'll continue here. Do some other research, kind of show you how I go about picking my keywords. Many people think there's an exact science to picking out keywords. You can forget that concept. There's not an exact science. There's better strategies than others, but there's not a surefire way to pick out converting keywords. You can't just expect to pick keywords and immediately when you launch the campaign it's going to be profitable. It's not going to happen most of the time. So let's go ahead and sort by high to low search volume. And it's really easy. You can just click one of the tabs up here if you want to sort the information. Now, if you're not familiar with this tool and you haven't gotten used to it and learned how to use it, I highly recommend learning quickly. It's not hard to learn, and it's going to be one of your most used tools once you do start using it. You'll realize how beneficial it is for you. So, when I'm approaching my keywords, a couple things I look for, especially when I'm on a smaller budget. You don't want to target the short tails. You want to go for medium tails for right now, maybe a couple short tails, but you got to be kind of careful. Short tails produce a lot of volume, and they can be very untargeted traffic, so it means your conversions would be really, really low, but your amount spent would be really, really high. So you may not have enough of a budget to find the few converting type of phrases that they would produce out of a long or short tail keyword. So for this case study, we're not going to focus too much on the short tails. We're going to have to kind of weed those out and focus on key phrases that have a little bit more of an action sense, something that says like buy. Like if you look right down here, it says buy acai berry. That's kind of what we're looking for, stuff like that. So let's go to this column right here. You can drop down. It has a couple different things we can talk about. You can click this option here. It'll show you average estimated ad volume, estimated ad position. Right here is the average CPC, how much you'd pay for that average position or estimated position. This right here will give you the search volume trend. So you can look, if you look right here, it kind of duplicates what's in trend.google.com. If you look all the way to the most recent, which is going to be to the right, all these right here, traffic is just like surge. Look at that. I mean, right here it's doubled on that one phrase alone just over the last month or two. So that's what I'm telling you. It's really getting hot right now. We can also choose to select the highest volume occurred in what month, which would be in April of this year so far. But that's before the recent stats. So once it updates, I'm sure it'll change drastically. So let's go ahead and remove those. We don't need to see those at the moment. We already know it's a pretty hot market. And let's go ahead and remove the ad position. I'm not so much worried about the ad position right now. So if you look over here, acai berry, roughly it's $2.39 estimated cost to get in positions 1 to 3. It's a little bit out of the price range that we're willing to spend. If I'm spending $2 a click, then I'm only going to be able to spend $100 is only going to give me 50 clicks. So I'm not going to have enough data to really accurately test the market. It's getting more and more competitive, so paying high cost per clicks is expected. I mean, it's not something you can avoid. When choosing appropriate keywords that are going to give you the best chance for success, you have to focus on something with an action involved with it. Either they want to buy something, they're looking to research, they're looking for a review. Those are all a little bit better than just the phrase acai berry. I mean, acai berry, there can be tons of different search queries related to that. So we want to find something with a little bit more focus. That way we know what the consumer is looking for. We know exactly what we can do to provide for them, how to write the ad copy, how to trigger their mindset to click on our ad, which can ultimately lead to a lead. So if you look down here, there's really not a special science. Like I mentioned earlier, there's not a special science to choosing keywords. Obviously, you don't pick stuff like, let's find one that you don't pick really quickly. So far, most of these are pretty good type keywords. Acai berry picture, you know, the chances of that converting, it's possible, but it might not be a high enough percentage for us to make a profit from. So I wouldn't necessarily bid on picture. What I would do is I'd put picture as a negative key phrase. And so basically what I usually do is I usually go through, build my keyword list up front, and then I come back a little bit later and do a little bit more research on finding negative phrases that I want to use inside of my campaign. So when we're first launching the campaign, our main focus is not to gather tons and tons and tons of keywords and have a 30,000 keyword list. That's just not going to be helpful to us. For one, if we had 30,000 keywords and only a $100 budget, and we only launched 10,000 of those keywords, that still we're not going to have enough money to accurately test even a small percentage of those keywords. So ultimately, we're just going to waste our money and have nothing to show for it. What you want to do is focus on a smaller group. I know some marketers like to start out with 100 to 300 keywords. Some of them go up to 1,500 to 2,000 range. Me personally, it just varies upon the campaign how big the market is that I'm looking to target. What I'm looking to do is I want to gather about 5 to 600 keywords that are specifically acai berry type keywords that are mid-tail type. They're mid-length, which means 2 to 3 words. Preferably not the 2 words like acai berry though. And then I want to gather a couple hundred keywords of some similar relevant key phrases, like the pomegranate type keywords might be a potential thing we can look into. You also have the regular weight loss ones, regular weight loss type key phrases and diet offers. Focus more on like the pills, maybe even type in, for example, let's go up to the top really quickly and type this in. Oprah, acai. There's been a lot of, talk about Oprah and acai berry, so there has to be some key phrases related to that. If you look here, there's one, but that didn't show up very much. But look down here at the additional keywords to consider.